Good morning, or if it's midday, good afternoon. Hello and welcome. Oh, look, my kitchen looks such a mess. Okay, ignore everything behind me. Hello, everyone who's here. Let's have a quick look. So Cherry is here. Just bear with me for 2 seconds because I'm going to do my usual thing of trying to find me actually on YouTube so that I can read the chat better, more clearly. That's the word I'm trying to say. So we're nearly there. I don't know why I always take so long to do this, but then you know that I'm going to take this long, so hopefully you will forgive me for that. There we go. I think I'm sorted. I'll try and move it in a second and that will mess it all up. So, hopefully, am I here? Yes, I am here. Hooray. I can't believe it takes me so long to get organised. It's not good, is it? I don't know how people do it. I think they must just use a different system to me. Where they can just go live and be incredibly organised and all of those things, or they've set it up beforehand or something. But anyway, I haven't and I don't. So here we go. So Cherry's here. Hi. Marilyn's here. Blues Food. Hello. Morning. It's at the allotment. Hello. Hi, Rebecca. Laura Ellen. Hello. Yellow Labrador. Hi. And Becky is here. So it's going to be probably a much quieter chat, which might become quite nice, over on this channel than it would be on my main channel because many fewer people know about this channel as yet. So Rebecca's saying, but Liz, isn't that bit at the beginning of your lives a trademark? Yes, it possibly is. It's not intentional. It's just being disorganized. So Tony is here. Tony, I have made you a moderator, the same as you were on, as soon as you are on the other channel. There are a couple of other people who may appear and suddenly discover that they are also moderators. Do you know, I've just confession. I just ran into the bathroom and cleaned my teeth because I wanted to talk to you with fresh breath. But I haven't actually checked to see whether I've got toothpaste all around my mouth. I'm going to have to go and look at the mirror. Vanity rules in this case. Okay. Luckily, there's a mirror not too far away. I'm sure one of you would have told me if I had a big piece of toothpaste around. But isn't it funny? It's a little bit like when I go and make a video, I always clean my teeth just before I make a video so that I've got nice fresh breath to talk to you. So, those of you who are members of my Facebook group may know, and I can't remember if I put it in the Facebook group or on the Byther Farm Facebook page, and I put different things in different places. But I treated myself this week to this book by Claire Austin. So Claire Austin is the daughter of David Austin, who developed all those fabulous roses. It's a book about peonies. This was, I knew this was going to be a dangerous book, and it came with it. There was a pamphlet of all the things that they sell as well, which Mr. J has hidden at my request because our bank balance just can't afford it. But look, it is just chock-a-block full of all the different varieties, how to grow them. There are some luscious photographs in here. And I can't wait. I can hardly wait for the weather to be warm enough for peony season to start. I love peonies. They're absolutely fabulous. So Rue's here. Hiya, Rue. How are you? So now, Laura Lensley, love your book, Liz. Thank you very much. Rue had her first COVID jab this morning, so I hope you will be on feeling well for the rest of the day or so. Well, Ruth's saying she adores peonies too. There's something I really like about, I like the simplicity of simple roses, just their open petals, just very simple. But I adore all the fluffy frou-frou-ness of multiple petals and those double flowers that are all frilly, and even more so with peonies, which are just ridiculously extravagant in their styling. And I really like this. I like having simple flowers, but I do like a lot of those very blousy, frou-frou flowers in the garden. So I have been very carefully lifting the peonies that we have here. I have replaced, so I've lifted 7. I've replaced 4 so far with much younger ones, so that future generations here can enjoy some peonies, but I'm taking my really big plants with me. Hello, Margaret. How are you? Thank you for joining me from Cyprus. She's in sunny Cyprus. So if I could turn my computer around and show you what it's like. I expect you're all experiencing the same here in the UK. It's quite a bright day in some ways, but the sky is very white and grey, and there's a lot of rain coming out of it, and it's very, very windy. Mr. J is working today, and I really feel for him working in this weather. It's not a nice, most of the year, and most of the time, being a postal person is a lovely job, but in this, when it's windy and rainy, it's not a nice job at all. So let's have a look. Slavica is here from Australia. I'm assuming that's your first name. If it's not, I'm really sorry. And in fact, your name could be something entirely different. So if it is, please let me know. Ruth says it's been piddling with rain all day. I filled in the asterisks and what she'd written. So yes, it's like that in North Wales. It's like that in York. It's all pretty, it's grey and miserable. It's definitely an inside day today. Tony says it's drizzly today. Now, Tony doesn't actually live, as the crow flies, all that far from me. All I can say, Tony, is we're obviously having all that rain for you because earlier on I thought, oh, well, I'll start doing a live at 10, but the noise of the rain in here was so loud on the windows. I just thought you wouldn't hear me, so I thought I would wait for a while. So but Tony has managed to get 60 brassicas into the ground and netted in between downpours. Excellent. Marilyn says the sun is supposed to come here in eastern Canada. I hope it will come to you soon. I do. It has been a cool, an exceptionally cool April, and very, very dry. That's the other thing. It's been incredibly dry. I was watching a video I was watching Charles Dowding's latest video, and he was saying that how little rain there's been in April, but there have been a huge number of frosts. And it's really not helped the soil. The soil is very dried. And even after all the rain we've had in the last few days, I'm just watching the water run across the surface because it can't soak into the ground fast enough where the ground has kind of really dried and compacted. Oh, it's not compacted, but dried and shrunk together. It is forming cracks. So the water is going down in the cracks, but the soil's not absorbing it. So it's still, even with all this rain, as yet, not good. What we need is, ideally, I would like it to rain gently, consistently, for all the hours of darkness, and then the moment I get up in the morning, for it to stop raining and not rain again until I've gone to bed in the evening. That would suit me fine. And Tony's just said it's deeply satisfying to see he's fighting with bindweed too. Yes, absolutely, and it's been really interesting because in the past I've looked at Charles's garden and kind of thought, well, I bet he didn't have to battle with all the field weeds that we've had to battle with, and the answer is yes, he has. So he's saying he's just going to have to keep on top of it. I think most of you know that I don't usually manage to keep on top of those weeds, and that they find their way in this garden. And in the end, I just go, okay, well, we'll just let that area become a wildlife patch too. I'm looking out the window, the area opposite the kitchen, which is I can only describe as now it's a wildlife orchard. It's a very small orchard. It's about 40 feet in each direction. It's got 4 trees in it, 3 trees in it because one came down in the storms last year, and it's sort of waist high with weeds again. So here we go. Ruth's saying we've got a pond appearing in one of our paddocks and the ducks have moved in. Yeah. Margaret says that's always my wish. It was always my wish in Wales that it would rain at night. Yes, that would be good. Thank you, Marilyn, to remind people, if you don't mind giving this a thumbs up, because it will tell YouTube that you've enjoyed the video, and then there'll be happy bunnies with us. Ruth's saying, I have a big hogweed problem. Now, Ruth, as long as this isn't giant hogweed, if this is ordinary hogweed, I'm going to say this very carefully, right? So this is my caveat before I say it. This is only from memory. But I think I saw a video about foraging and how good hogweed is to forage. I will find that video and I will put a link on the Byther Farm page on Facebook, because it was fascinating. It wasn't something I knew. I'm not sure it was something I fancy eating, but I have got a feeling that it was potentially edible. So Rebecca says, I go looking for bindweed twice a day and always find new growth. Yes. Why is it? Why don't all those slugs that appear in our garden eat bindweed? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't it be great if slugs ate bindweed and thistles and docks and all those other weeds that we say, oh, we're battling against those weeds. And Jen's here. Hi, Jen. Good morning. And I can't read without my glasses on. Sorry about this. And D Via is here as well. Hello. What does the D stand for? I'm just being really nosy, aren't I? Ali's here. Hi, Ali, from Ireland. There we go. So hogweed is very edible. You can eat the stems like asparagus and the leaves like other greens. There we go. So we're weeding hogwarts, yeah. So morning from Arkansas. See, it is, yes, it's morning for you. So it's lunchtime here, although we don't eat our lunch until Mr. J comes home from work. So many days, although he's supposed to be home between 2:30 and 3, many days he isn't home till sort of more like 4, 4:30, or even nearly 5. So lunch gets put back to later and later in the day. And then it just becomes our main meal of the day. So I've given up cooking almost now until he gets home, because otherwise, if I cook something that needs eating straight away, it can just be sitting there going yucky for a while. Jen's saying she has mare's tails on her plot. Jen, do you know what? I have never yet, I'm going to touch wood as I say this, and all those other superstitious things. Today, I've never had to deal with mare's tail. I've got lots of friends who do. I'm touching wood because who knows what our new space will bring. Love loving horses. Good afternoon. How are you? So Laura Allen says, what's for lunch today? Today's lunch will involve eggs because the ducks have been laying very, very well. I've got all of these, and that box is full of eggs as well. I've got some baby leeks, not from this year, but from last year, that I just never got around to planting out. So I've got about a 4-foot long row of leeks that are all packed in together really tightly, so they haven't had the space to grow. And before they all suddenly decide to go to seed, I'm going to harvest a load of those and then just chop them finely and add them to some eggs and make an omelette-y, frittata-y type thing. That's that thing that's just like eggs and veg. And the other thing that we've got in abundance is asparagus. So I will be out harvesting lots of asparagus again. We're at that point of eating it every day now with a sort of, oh no, not asparagus again. Not quite, because we wait all year to feel like this, but it won't be long before we're at the not again mode. Someone's talking about creeping buttercup. Yes, it is a nuisance. Yes, we have plenty of creeping buttercup here. And we've also got, which was a new one on me till we moved here, silver buttercup, which has got a really pretty leaf, but just spreads so quickly. It really does. It's and that's another one that seems to have just moved itself from one end of the garden to the other. And what I'm not sure is whether it's come through from the field next door or arrived in one of the piles of wood chips that we've had delivered over the years. So now Jen and a couple of other people I don't recognise everybody here, so you may or may not know Mr. J and I have made the decision to move house. So we are picking up Byther Farm and relocating it elsewhere. We haven't agreed. We haven't released into the public domain where we're going yet or what sort of property it is. But I can let you know that there will be a similar garden. So I'm going to take all the lessons I've learnt here and use them to create the new space. And that will be absolutely our final move. This was supposed to be our last home ever. We then decided for a whole number of reasons that we would pick everything up and start again. So it feels a bit, I'm very excited, but I also feel incredibly daunted. And if you haven't seen, there are 2 videos about that. One is on this channel, which will give you some of the backgrounds and the reasons for wanting to move. And the other one is over on This or Up Byther Farm channel, which then just tells you that we have made that decision. And it's just generally a little bit of chatter about it. So Margaret's saying, unfortunately, my stamped concrete grows nothing, but I've got a few tomatoes trying to ripen in pots. Lovely. Mares and horsetail is a big herbal medicine. I know it's a pain, but for herbalists like me, it can cost up to £22 a kilo. That's a huge amount, isn't it? Tony says, well, reminded I've got 2 beds of leeks that need harvesting as soon as I can find 5 minutes. Oh, yeah, and Tony, you can either, I think you know this already, you can freeze them, you can dry them, you can dehydrate them and have the powder to add to meals at a later date. Does anybody can leeks? I would imagine that they get horribly slimy if they're canned. So I'm going to read down here very quickly. It's lovely to have a live chat on a wet and windy day. I looked and thought, what am I going to do? Am I going to spend some time in the garden? I seriously hoped that I was going to be out in the garden and walked out. When I did the ducks this morning, got them up and fed them, I thought, I'm not not attempting a day in the garden today. Yesterday was really nice. I've spent a lot of time this week arguing with the back end of my website, but more and more, there will be more and more information on that website in the coming months. So I would encourage you to head over to Byther Farm and have a little look round. As I said, at the moment, there's not an awful lot on it, but there will be some lovely articles on there very soon. And I can say they're lovely because they're not actually being written by me. One of my friends who's an absolute expert in permaculture stuff will be writing or has written some articles that will go on there. Rue's Life. Rue's saying, is everyone else having difficult starts to the season with the odd weather? Yes, absolutely yes. Even, did you see Gardener's World last night? I really enjoyed it. And Adam Frost was presenting, and he was saying what a difficult start to the year it had been. I've got to say, last night's programme was probably the one I've enjoyed the most for a very long time. And they shared a video a snippet that they've had on before, unless they went back to visit the person, but I think it was a repeated one before, of the person who holds the national collection of elderberries in the UK. And he's got a website, and somewhere on my computer I bookmarked his website a year or so ago, thinking I would go and get some different types of elderberry, which I haven't done yet, but I will do at some point. Margaret says, when do you believe you'll move? We don't know. We don't know yet. We have found somewhere, and the whole process is now up to solicitors and things, so we don't have a timeline as yet. Ruth says, glutton for punishment. Jen, I'm really excited to find out where you're going. It's a big new adventure for you. It is, and hopefully by having, by starting again and everything, I will be able to share with you, well, not hopefully, I will be sharing with you all the processes that I go through, the decision-making processes, why I'm going to do what, where, how I'm going to do it. So there'll be some absolute beginners, this is how to do stuff, and then there'll be lots and lots of, this is why I've chosen to do this, and looking back at what I did here and how I want to take that exactly and put it in the new place, and well, then other things with what I did here and what I want to change because it didn't work quite how I wanted it to. There have been a lot of lessons learned here. So hopefully a second time round, I can put those all those mistakes and lessons learned to good use. Ellen Young, hiya. Well, websites are so difficult. They absolutely are difficult. I've been busy trying to make it so that it's really quick on a mobile phone. And I believe now my website is super, super fast when you go to it on, because I do all my website work on my laptop. I'm waving at my laptop here, but I'm talking to you via my laptop, so I do all the work there. And I never check it on my website on my mobile, but I have now done all of that, and every page has been checked, and in theory all loads really quickly. That's the theory. I've got to say, my brain got a little bit fuzzy by the end of the day working on that. So, love loving horses. We made 2 raised beds in the storm last week. My wonderful husband had a day off. I'll say, when my wonderful husband got a day off and it's pouring with rain like this, we stay inside. Sorry, I'm on big glasses of water. I think you can probably hear I've got a slightly froggy throat. So, Rue's saying she watched Charles Downing's video this morning. Yeah, so I was just saying about more frost in January. Yeah, about how frosty it was. Let's have a little look. I'm still reading. All that awkward silence moment. Laura's here. Hello, Laura. Just saying hello. You're getting ready for work. So good morning to you. And Kathy's here. Hi. It'd be really interesting to watch you starting from scratch. You know, I did record all of the starting here, but I did it in photographs and in a blog, and I found it very frustrating that I couldn't really show as much as I wanted to show or explain as much in the written form and with photos, which is why I then moved over. It's part of the reason I then moved over to making videos. So to be able to share with you the process of doing everything from scratch. What I can reveal, and I'm probably not supposed to reveal anything, but what I can reveal is that we are not moving to somewhere it doesn't have an existing vegetable garden. It doesn't have an existing flower garden. We are literally starting from scratch again. So watch that space and we'll see how quickly that develops. Scott's Crofter, hello, how are you? Moving is always fun. Not. It's great once you're there. I think the process to it is not good. It doesn't do me well. Tufty McTavish, sounds like you should join. Like I should join your Patreon for a starting from the beginning in-depth video series. Yeah, so I am starting to. I shared a post on Patreon last night, just writing about some of my hopes and my hopes and my dreams for the new place. It is exciting. It's still just a bit daunting because we are living in. Well, I think you can see behind me. We always live in chaos. I would like to say this is moving chaos. It's not. This is how, I would rather be outside doing stuff. I would rather be creating videos. I would rather be writing than doing housework. Almost anything other than doing housework. So I'm not. Neither of us are incredibly tidy people. We are quite clean people, but we're not tidy. So yes. So trying to move all this chaos is going to be a difficult one. M. King is here. Good morning from southwestern Indiana. Hello. Mark's here. Hi, Mark. It's a very hard start to the year. My strawberries are going wild. My strawberries, I've noticed, are now, they're all flowering. They are later than usual because our early strawberries, we're usually harvesting those at the end of May. Well, there's absolutely no way that they're going to be ready in 3 weeks. And so I think everything's just going to be, everything's just going to be a little bit delayed. But hopefully we'll have a nice summer so everything can catch up. There's no getting it wrong. Just learning experiences, and the fact you share yours is something we're very grateful for. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes I do try and look at when stuff has all gone wrong as basically I've just eliminated one off a very long checklist of the things I need to do to get something right or to get it how I want it to be. But it can be quite disheartening when things feel like they're going very wrong. So Becky's saying, how do you eat your asparagus? Looking for new recipes, please. Okay, so I very, very lightly boil it and then serve it with melted butter and black pepper. That's pretty much all I do to it, or I put it on top of a poached egg. I actually just prefer asparagus as it is. I've had cream of asparagus soup. Doesn't do it for me. I've tried it in quiches and all sorts of things. I do throw it in the occasional stir fry. But I would much rather just savor that taste. It's not around for very long, and to have that really fresh, quite sweet asparagus taste, I think is just perfect on its own. So I planted the asparagus in 20. I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019. And I bought 2-year-old. Or maybe even 3-year-old crowns. No, I bought 2-year-old crowns. It feels like I've been harvesting it for longer than that. This is certainly the first year where there's more asparagus than we need. And I saw someone asked how many we've got. I think I've got 12 planted in one bed and about 6 in another bed. We've got quite a lot of asparagus. Next time we will do more. So Margaret's saying, what's your current acreage? It's 0.8 of an acre. And then the area that I garden, so that the food forest, the vegetable garden, the patrons garden, the market garden, and the bit that the ducks are in, so that all of that across there is about 0.5 acre. I haven't measured it exactly, but I think that's about 0.5 acre. There's a lot more space than what you sort of tend to see at any one time, because I show you that bit, but then there's another bit behind the piggeries. It's not huge, but it is there. So I think it's about 0.5 acre for all of that. And the vegetable garden is, because I measured it recently, 37 feet. Someone can translate that into meters. That would be brilliant. So it's 37 feet wide and 84 feet long. That's what we've got at the moment. Hello, Helen. She says, I'm new to vegetable gardening and managed to do all but 2 of my runner beans last week because of the cold. I didn't know they were frost tender. Many lessons learnt in the last few weeks. Helen, I haven't planted my runner beans yet. I will plant them probably in the 3rd week in May or possibly even the 1st week in June. And the other thing I do is not relevant for you this year, but will be for next year, is I leave the plants in the ground. I just cut them off about that much above the ground, leave the stems then. I mulch a bit over the top of them. And then during the winter, that mulch breaks down, but it also protects those stems. And then the next year, they come back up again. That won't work everywhere. It won't work when you have very, very cold ground temperatures for prolonged periods, because that's likely to kill them off. And likewise, if you have very high temperatures and it's very dry, that's also likely to kill them off. But in this temperate climate that we have here, the runner beans will, not all of them, but very many of the runner beans will regrow, and they grow as stronger, sturdier plants. Their roots go down deeper into the soil, so get the nutrients at a lower level, and you get a larger crop. So Tony's just saying the asparagus was planted in 2018. Thank you. Thanks, Tony. I did kind of feel like we'd had a few years of it being in there. Asparagus soup goes to another level if you add cauliflower into the recipe. Nice. Asparagus makes your pea smell funny. Do you know what? It makes almost everyone's smell funny, because it's got something in it that our bodies can't break down, and so it just comes out again. We just get rid of it because our bodies are clever like that. Marilyn says, oh my, I'm going to plant 45 plants with the new ones this year. Oh, it's not oops, it's good. Helen says, thanks, Tony. I did plant some more. I've been too enthusiastic by far and wanted to get things going. It's one of the really difficult things is there is, particularly with social media, we're almost out, just almost as soon as you're out of Christmas, hit New Year, everyone says, what's you growing? What are you growing? Have you started growing anything yet? And it's partly just because we've had enough of winter already by January, and that's really only the beginning of winter or part way through winter. And I think we're all just so keen to be doing something. And as the light levels lift, our energy lifts, and we want to be getting on with things. So we get very over keen in planting. And every year I say, I'm not going to plant any seeds until the beginning of March. And this has been the first year that I think I've managed to do that. Was it the end of February? No, the first week of March. But anyway, I've planted very little this year. But what I have got is several friends who are planting stuff for me. So I'm going to be honest here. I'm not planting as much as I normally would because I knew about our impending move. But lots of friends have really kindly volunteered or been volunteered. Basically, I've asked them if they wouldn't mind. So they're growing things for me so that when we do move, I can get some beds made and I can get plants straight into the ground. But I'm not having to actually try and cart even more trays of plants with me that I'm already taking. So let's have a little look. Rue's life. It's all part of the fun, yeah. Learning every year, fresh new start, and every year is different. Yeah. So Melissa, hello. And Mumblebug, hello. That is a great channel name, by the way. Mumblebug in the Wobbly Garden, fabulous. Sorry, I'm just carrying on reading down here. So we're having a conversation about which is great. Ruth saying asparagus and vitamin B. Yes, vitamin B is an unusual one. That does amazing things. Becky's saying it seems like spring has cancelled this year. Possibly. No, it's not. The garden is absolutely teeming with flowers. I think it's our perception of it because we haven't had the warmth, but it's certainly been dry. No, it's just been miserable. I'm trying to make it sound better than it was. It's been horrible, hasn't it? Margaret says, are we on Instagram? I certainly am on Instagram. It is Liz _Zorab _Byther _farm. But I'm sure if you typed in Liz Zorab into Instagram, you would find me there. I don't use Instagram a huge amount. I do little flurries of taking lots of photos, and then I've got some to post. But I'm not very good with Instagram. Question: what will you do differently in the new place? Oh, so much. So much will be more of the same, different, and so much will be completely different. And I'm not going to say. I'm really worried still. We haven't exchanged contracts yet, so it's still going through. So it's all going through the processes, the legal processes, and I'm so frightened of saying, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, and then it all falls through. So there's no reason that it should. There's no reason there should be a problem with it. I just don't want to jinx it. So there will be many things that will be different. M. King, what's the best soil composting for asparagus? It's pretty wet here all year at the bottom of the hill. So when I plant asparagus, I do it on a mound. So I'll get some soil, and you could add in some very well rotted manure or some compost, and make a mound, like almost a pointed mound, and then put your asparagus over the top of it, and then cover over that so that the roots are actually raised. They're raised up from the ground, which means they won't be sitting in a sump area with loads of water in it. And what do I put? I put on compost over the top. I throw on some duck bedding for the winter. I use a chop and drop mulch on it. So I keep on adding mulch over the top of it. And the only thing I don't do is I don't cut the stems in autumn and put those on top. I actually cut them and clear them away completely because of the risk of asparagus beetle spending the winter in the stems. Amanda's here saying, good day, Liz. Missed the first bit. Hope all's well. Well, that's fine. It will only be me wittering in the first bit, or the very first bit, me fighting with technology. It always is. And I'm only wittering, really. So Tony's saying asparagus doesn't like to be wet. So there we go. And he's saying in heavy clay, dig in some sand. So rather than doing the digging, I make the mound that comes out of the ground. Tony, what are we saying spoilers about? You'll have to share that one with me. Tufty says, I have some builders home who I overheard commenting how spicy chili overpowers food. I laugh because I've got a cold frame absolutely rammed with small chili plants. Nice. So yes, they're saying, look how long it took Tanya over at Lovely Greens to move. So Tanya and I have become quite good friends, and we chat quite a lot. So in the run up to her moving, we talk quite a lot about just how many van loads of just like I'm loading up another van. I think she said it took 5 van loads to move her plants across. So I'm imagining that it will be similar here, but I have got the advantage that there are friends within 20 miles or so of where we're moving to, and they have very kindly said that they will take care of some plants for us. So whenever we go in that direction or they come in this direction, they're swinging by, the plants are left outside, so we don't even have to do a socially distanced hello. I just wave through the door and they just take another lot of plants. And once we are in, then we can go and collect them from them. So I think that tells you we're going more than 20 miles away from here. What is my Robin going to do? Well, I'm afraid Robin is going to have to make friends with the next people. Because I don't think the Robin's going to come with us, but no. So the Robin will have to become friends with the next people, and hopefully it won't be too long before we find our new Robin. Before we get a new Robin, that would be very nice. Do you find stones right to the surface of your soil beds? I pick them off and more appear. How does that happen? Well, that happens because the rain is washing the finer particles, the lighter particles of soil downwards. The wind is blowing it around, which then exposes the stones. And likewise, when our wildlife is moving through that soil, it can turn over and move the lighter particles. So I leave, unless they're big stones and they're really in the way, I leave them there. As time goes on, a long time, not in my lifetime, but those stones are going to bit by bit grind down, and the weather will have an impact on them, and eventually they'll just become part of the soil, eventually, in several millennia's time. I'm just having another little look. Mumblebug says, very much looking forward to getting everything out in the garden. The windowsills are so full I can barely see out of the windows. It may be time for you to get a cold frame or two to be able to at least move things out a bit. Loving horse. I thought our move would fall through many times. Our moving date changed from early January to mid-June. So I understand you're dubious about sharing until more final. Thank you. Yes. My partner keeps throwing at me for planting more seeds, as at some point this year we'll have to move too. Well, the thing is, that's at some point, isn't it? Our move is imminent. And if it's just some point, we talked about this a bit when Mr. Joe and I were first discussing it, and I said, well, what do I do? Do I plant the garden up as though we're going to be here all year? And that seemed like a bit of a waste if I'm planting it all up and then replanting it. So it seems a waste of not only my energy, but of resources in terms of seeds. And we decided that mostly, yes, we would do that. So I have, there are cabbages in there. There's a fly. Did you see that? There are cabbages in the ground. There are beans in the ground. Onions are in. Garlic is in. As I said, my runner beans and my Greek gigantes beans grow as perennials, so they're there anyway. But I am basically just doing the garden as though we're going to be here all year, because who knows how long this process is going to take. I don't want to get to the end of the year and say, there's nothing in our cupboards. So I think it's not unreasonable to just be growing as though it would be a normal year, even if you know that you're going to be changing your home later in the year. So sorry about this. Silent moment while I have a quick look. Jen says, before I forget, I haven't forgot about rose cuttings. Last attempt didn't work. So Jen and I we share a love of roses, and we said we'd do rose cuttings to try and swap. But if I didn't attempt try again this year. You never know. Blues Food, says he walks past 33 chestnut trees I've managed to germinate and shakes his head and groans like lurch. I've just been watching I've just been watching a documentary, a BBC documentary from 2009, question mark, quite a while ago. The presenter is Rebecca Hoskins, who does some absolutely fabulous permaculture stuff, and she has a farm in Devon, which her father and generations previously farmed. I've put a link to that on the Byther Farm page on Facebook. It was about 45 minutes or something like that, and they were talking on that about chestnuts being able to be used as an alternative to grains. I can't remember if it was meats or grains actually now, but they were saying that that chestnut has effectively a similar nutritional content to rice by the time they've been processed or whatever it is that you do to a chestnut to make it. I love chestnuts. I can't eat them, but I do love them. So Tony says it's a process called frost heave. So that was that process with the stones coming up to the top of the soil. Sonia says, so are you not taking any of your plants with you? I'm taking masses of them with me, but I'm also everything if I'm lifting it, I'm either replacing it with a small one so that the next owners still have that plant, or I'm dividing, much as I did in my video this week of dividing plants, putting a piece back and taking other bits. There we go. Let's have a quick look. Still reading. I don't know. It's really hard to talk and read at the same time. Yeah, so the limbo of moving is such a pain. Do you know what I have realised? Is the limbo of moving thing is actually quite a good process because it allows you to sort through stuff and say, do I really need this? So Mr. J and I have been sorting through the barn. And when we moved here 5.5 years ago, we put a whole lot of stuff in the barn, stuff from my parents' house, his parents' house, our individual previous homes, and also our joint previous home, all in the barn. It's been about head high in the barn with stuff. You can hardly walk through it. And most of that's been there since we moved in without being used. And that kind of tells me we probably don't need most of it. So it's giving us time to go through and say, actually, that from a sentimental point of view, I don't want to get rid of that. And then other things we're looking at and saying, why on earth have we just kept this for so long? And we are finding new homes. So we've been listing stuff on FreeCycle and on sales sites. And when all else fails, if the scrap man can't take it, then it's going in a skip. But if we can recycle things, we are. But it has been. I always think it's an interesting process of things that you think you're going to need and that you hang on to. And I know that as soon as we've got rid of them, the next week we'll need them. But we only needed them because we're suddenly conscious of them. So there we go. So Margaret's saying yes. So Jess and Maya at Roots and Refuge are doing the same. They are in a move situation as well. Has your move gone really quite quickly? It seems from the other side of the screen. So I put up 2 videos a week apart. One, if you watch all the way through it, you'll see that we talk about it being September. So it was filmed last September, and at that point we'd already been looking for quite a while and talking about the decision, making the decision. So from my first thought of is it something we want to do, to last September was just over 2 years of that talking about and thinking about and kind of coming to a decision. And then because of the way the housing market is at the moment, you aren't able to go and see anything in this area anyway. You're not allowed to go and see a property unless you already have a proceedable offer on your own. So we then had to get the house ready to go onto the market, put it on the market, and get it sold before we could even go and start to look at anything. So it may seem quick from where you are. Our first conversation from that you see on YouTube was actually filmed 7 months ago. So no, it really doesn't feel like it feels like it's been an incredibly long, slow process. So the decision that we would actually start that process happened with Mr. J's full support and agreement nearly 8 months ago now. So no, it hasn't been quick at all. But we didn't want to say anything on social media until we were kind of ready to move forward, because I don't want you to be as bored with the whole process as I've been. So so let's have a little look. So there's a conversation about conkers as well. Love Loving Horses. I'm reading The Foragers Garden by Anne Locke at the moment. That's a lovely book, isn't it? So that's one of the newest, it might even be the most recent book from Permanent Publications. Oh, hang on a second. Do you know what I don't have here? I'm slacking. Bear with me. I am truly slacking here. But I'm nearly back with this. Oh, maybe not. Come on, move on. Right, I'm back. So, Permanent Publications are the same people who have published my book. If you haven't just heard about it yet, is there anybody who hasn't heard about it? Okay, so here's my book. It was published in February. Thank you to everybody, absolutely everybody who's bought this book. It has been our publisher's fastest selling book in their 31-year publishing history. So it's not their best selling yet. It's not their best selling, but it has been their fastest selling. It sold 8,000 copies in the first month, which has just been amazing, absolutely amazing. So here we go. Bear with me a second. Oh, Tony, there may be somebody that you want to what's the right word, that you want to have a look at. That's the right phrase. I've done that whole thing where I've messed up the chat, and now I can't see the chat conversation. So I just have to bear with me. See, there we go. Hooray! Now I can see it again. So yes, Anne Locke's book, Foragers Garden, is the newest title from Permanent Publications. But thank you to everybody who has bought this book, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. Certainly, from the feedback that I've had, it seems that almost everyone has enjoyed it. So let's have a little look. Let's go back a tiny bit. So Tufty McTavish says, I read your Grounded book. I was in your health story and how things have rebounded. Can only imagine the doctors have been similarly gobsmacked. Yes, they have. They've been really pleased. But I think more and more people are aware of how good it is to be outside and to be gardening for all sorts of reasons. So let's have a little look. Nancy's here. Good morning, Nancy. So Tafty McTavish, all book recommendations are of interest to this reader. Well, then the really nice bit is my publishers have recently started asking me if I would like to have a look at some of the books that they're going to be publishing soon, with a view to either writing a testimonial or a review. So I'm getting to see books before they come out, which is really exciting. It is really exciting. It's like having a sneak peek. So I'm not going to tell you about the book that I'm reading at the moment, because it won't be out for a while yet. And VM Cougar in TN is here. Hello, how are you? Ginger, I think, have I got that right? Is that what we call you? Long time no see. I'm glad you have visited. Jojo, I take my glasses off. I can't read what I'm writing. I'm so sorry. Oh dear. Nancy says, I yearn for land to plant on, but make do. I love the book. There is so much that you can do, growing inside, growing on a balcony, in a patio. You know, we've been really fortunate to have so much space, but we have the size of our garden has got progressively larger and wilder. And in the end, what I've realised is that actually one person can only cope with tidy gardening, quite a small area, and the rest of it then has to be, well, this is for me, the rest of it then has to either be wild garden, or it's got to be perennial plants that are pretty tough and will survive without much pampering. Margaret's saying, I gave 99% of my possessions to friends and family when I decided to no longer have a home in Wales. Yeah, I think, you know, when you're moving a distance, you certainly have a look at those possessions and say, how important are they? So Mumblebug says it was a wonderfully inspiring story. So we're talking about grounded, I hope. I live with similar health issues, and I inspired you to push through bad days. Do you know, I don't want to say to people actually to push through bad days when they're really bad. I do a lot of days of sitting on the sofa. I think in some ways it's better to sit on the sofa and push through those days just by saying, okay, today I'm going to look after me, than to try and go and do things that then knock you back further. So I am fairly careful about, you know, down days are not necessarily physically, or not necessarily emotionally down days, but physical down days. I take those days out. When I'm having an emotional bad day, those are very often days that if I can get outside, that's a good time to do it. But so let's have a little look. Ali, hello Ali, is saying, I'm starting to open boxes in barns that were packed in 2013. It's incredible, isn't it, how long we hold on to stuff. Gardening seems to involve a lot of moving things from one spot to another spot. I don't have the capacity for anything beyond my smallish garden. I think you're absolutely right. It is about moving things from one place to another, and the more plants that you can have in situ, and actually the only moving you're doing is the harvesting to take it from the garden into the kitchen, is a great idea. Ruth saying gardening and being on the farm is what's keeping her going right now. Things have been tough, a rough time health-wise. Yeah, plus this amazing YouTube community. Rue, it is amazing. The community, the gardening, online gardening community, and homesteading and farming and smallholding, that community are just lovely. What an absolute delight. And occasionally I dip into other genre of videos, and I'm always a bit gobsmacked at how unpleasant the communities can be. So, Tony's saying one big mental shift for me was accepting it doesn't have to look pretty. It just has to grow me food. Absolutely. I would love a really beautiful potager garden with neatly clipped box hedges that had no box blight, and beautiful Elizabethan style knot gardens. I do not have the time or the patience to manage those kinds of gardens. So they just have to remain the thing that I see in magazines and books and online, and just go, oh, that's nice. And it's a bit like, or it's almost a bit like anything. When you see online the ultimate thing, you think, oh, that's beautiful, I want one of those, I'm going to recreate that. And then you see how much it's going to be, and you look at your budget and you think, okay, well, I'll do something in the middle. And then when you actually get down to it, your budget is even smaller. Not necessarily money, but your time or your space is even smaller. So what you get is this budget version of the big idea. And I'm just beginning to learn now to look at my budget version garden with the big idea glasses on. So when I go out there and I look and I think, that veg garden is actually surrounded by pallets that are falling apart and rotting because they've been there for 5 years. But in my mind, that's a beautiful white painted wicker fence, what's that? A picket fence, white painted picket fence with pink roses growing all along it. I do know that it's not. Okay, so let's be absolutely clear. I do understand that it's not, and I do know that it's not. But sometimes I just let my imagination do that. This is really pretty, rather than this is really utilitarian. So there we go. A neighbour once told me that most people look after their garden whilst looking at my garden. Yes. So Blue Sweet says, I've never really talked much or got too involved in some communities, but I've never felt more supported than I do by growers. Yeah, it's just a lovely, lovely community. Hello, Jane. Jane Kelly's here. How are you? I hope you don't mind, Jane. I added you as a moderator on here because you're a moderator on my main channel. And today I'm here. Okay, well, we can be completely honest why I'm doing live chats on here. I'm doing live chats on this channel to increase the number of view hours so that eventually I can have this channel monetized. And Mr. J I'm doing a lot of touching wood today, but Mr. J has quietly agreed that he will run this channel. He will do, so the majority of the things that will be on this channel in the future, so not immediately, but in the future, will be Mr. J talking about what is happening at this mysterious new place that we will be at. So he is going to be in front of the camera more often. I will film for him. I will do all the editing so that he doesn't have to learn all those skills. But he is going to spend more time talking with you. And so I'm trying to get this channel all nicely ready for him to just be able to take over and to, I was going to say run with, but I don't mean that, to take over and to use. Yeah, Margaret's just said, good on you, Mr. J. He's great. Yeah, he is great. I found a good egg there. So let's have a little look back. Amanda says I missed the first bit. Okay, so Amanda, you missed the first bit. You're asking questions about what we're taking and what we're going to be doing there. We actually haven't revealed any of that. I think you can assume we will be taking ducks with us, and we will be taking Monty, the cat, with us. But so far, we haven't revealed anything of what it's like, what we're going to be doing there, where it is, or any of those things, because I'm reluctant to say anything because we haven't exchanged contracts yet. So there is always that potential that something could go wrong. So we're going to just keep that under wraps until we are closer to the time. For anyone not in the UK and you have a fairly quick system of house buying, it's not necessarily, it could be, but it's not necessarily it's not necessarily very quick here. So, and an awful lot of things can go wrong along the way. So I don't want you to get really excited about somewhere and then it will fall through. There's no reason it should, but anyway, so we're keeping it under wraps for now. Ruth says, I've been mulling over that a lot recently, the pretty versus practical and productive. At the end of the day, if we're getting a harvest, then we're getting it right. It takes time and money to make it look perfect too. And patience, Rue, and I'm not sure I have the patience. And also, you know, if I'm looking at a garden and it's full of seedlings, weed seedlings, they could be potential plants. They could be things that I want. They could be edibles. And to make it look tidy, I'd have to hoe all of those away. And free food, free plants, and that hoarder part of me just can't let them go without checking through them. In which case I need them to grow a little bit bigger, and then it just doesn't look tidy. So Dusty McTash says, have you been surprised by your accelerating YouTube viewer base? Not, I'm going to interpret that as a surprise at the speed at which the channel has grown. Yes, I am not only constantly surprised, but I remind myself that every time that number changes, that's somebody who has made a conscious decision to subscribe to the channel, and they've made a conscious decision that they like what they're watching enough that they are likely to want to come back and see it again, and that I'm incredibly grateful for. I know when I'm choosing whether to subscribe to a channel or not, I don't just go subscribe. They've actually got to really interest me. My time, like everyone else's time, is limited. You know, we have a finite amount of time, and the fact that people are actively choosing to want to come back and watch again is really humbling. It's, you know, it's and I don't take it for granted. Those numbers go up, and I am amazed, and I want to never not be amazed by that. I would hate that I would get blasé about it. I want to always just be a little bit surprised that so many people want to come and see what we're up to and share our experiences. So there we go. Let's have a little look. So Laura's saying, judging by other channels that are moving in the United States, none of it's quick. Well, that's good. It makes me feel like it's not just here then. Claire, thank you so much for joining us. So you've got to go, but thank you for the live chat. Thank you, Claire. And Mark says, you can reveal you're not leaving Wales though, can you? Yes, we can reveal we are not leaving Wales. We will still be in Wales. Wales has been my home for a very long time, and we absolutely love it here. So we will still be in Wales. There we go. So Nancy says, nature isn't tidy. Absolutely, nature isn't tidy, which is great. I like what I think is tidy. I tidy up my DIY and gardening projects as I go rather than at the end. I tidy up after the builders at the end of each day. That sounds pretty tidy to me. That really does sound pretty tidy to me. Right, how are we doing time-wise? Oh, I've been talking for quite a long time. So if you have any other questions, now is the time. Now is the time to plonk them in the conversation, and I'm going to start thinking about heading off, mainly because I'm getting incredibly dry throat, and I'm going to just start talking nonsense soon. What a lovely question. How are the ducks? So the ducks are mediocre, fair to middling. So we had 12 ducks, and then earlier this week, one evening, I went out, so it might have been Monday night, I went out to put the ducks to bed, and they were making a lot of noises, and I went across the yard, and I got through the gate into the food forest, and the ducks were just yelling, and at the corner of my eye, I caught a fox was just jumping from the food forest, from the pampas grass, across into the veg garden. And a duck crawled out from under one of the plants. It was very obviously injured. And she just stood head down right by me. Now, the ducks don't come to me voluntarily, so I knew something was wrong. Her neck was broken, so I had to do the best thing for her. We got kind of the two were in the pond. They wouldn't come out of the pond in the food forest, so I stood on one side with a pitchfork, not the prong bit, the side of the pitchfork, trying to ease them out of the pond. Mr. J's like almost in the pond trying to get them out. Anyway, so we got them out, got them back up to where the duckling pen is. One had died just of shock by the look of it, because I couldn't find a single mark on her. And we weren't sure how many were there. And the next morning I opened up, there were only 9, so we could account for 2, so it looks like the fox actually took one with it, which I'm furious about, absolutely furious. So we have been making sure we let them out during the day, and then about 5 in the afternoon I'm taking them up, I'm shutting them in the duckling pen. They really don't like it. They're not at all happy at being shut away in there, but it does mean that as dusk comes, they are then very safely shut away. So those ducks are fewer than they were, but then, that's okay. And then we also have ducklings. So we had ducklings hatch last Friday, Saturday. I can't even remember. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. And there are, I can't remember if it's 8 or 11. I ought to count those as well, shouldn't I? There are a few ducklings who are just now starting to get a little pond made out of just a little plant tray, one without any holes in it, little tray to dabble around in. I have put up a few short snippets of videos on Instagram and on Facebook of those. So yeah, there are the next generation of slug detectives are well and truly with us. So let's have a little look. So, sorry, reading backwards now. Jane says, have you harvested anything for tonight's tea? So, Jane, we tend to not eat a meal at the end of the day. We eat our main meal in the middle of the day. It's going to be eggs because we've got way more than we need. I've got baby leeks that I didn't transplant last year, so I'm going to be chopping up a load of those, and also some asparagus as well. So that will be our main meal today. Oh, Rue's explained it to you already. So, so Amanda says, we'll do a few cooking videos. I might do some cooking videos on this channel. I won't do them over on my channel, because whenever I do, I quite often get requests for cooking videos. But when I put them on there, they really don't do very well at all. So although I get the requests for them, I don't get the views on them. And then when I don't get the views, YouTube, the algorithm thingy in YouTube then doesn't promote any my other videos as well. And sadly, it is about feeding that machine as well as feeding our minds. Margaret says, so sorry about the ducks, what a shame. Yeah, it's a huge problem, especially when you're rural. And the thing is that we could keep the ducks shut in all the time, but actually we choose to have them free ranging, and we choose to have them go through the food forest and through the vegetable garden because they're here as part of that complete cycle of of pest control, I guess, is the answer to that. So, right, I think I'm going to head off. We'll try and do another live chat during in the next week. Mr. J has a week's holiday, a week's vacation next week, so he was at home all week. So I will try and get him to sit in front of here and do a bit of a chat. I have actually just been joined. Should you be on the table? Come here. Monty's arrived. I don't think you're supposed to be on the table, are you? Come here. Come and say hello to people. Excuse me. Are you coming to say hello? No, he's going to sit on the table. Cats sitting on the table is not a nice idea, is it? Come here. Say hello. Yes. Cats are not supposed to sit on tables. So, here he is, a badly behaved cat. Right. Oh, you smell of a wood burner. Whose house have you been in? It's not ours, because we just got chimneys swept. And so we're not having fires at the moment. So Monty and I are going to go and have a cup of tea. Thank you so much for joining me. Mr. J and I will be back on this channel at some point in the next week. Right, so now, next thing I have to do is try and work out how to end this live stream. There we go. I think I may have worked it out. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for the rest of the weekend, I hope it's a good one. I also hope you'll join me in a video later in the week. Bye-bye.